everybody? Welcome back. You know what time it is. It's time for some Sideline Sports. I am your host, Jake Malik. I got my two co-hosts with me. JB couldn't be here, so Eric Wilson, my man, stepping in to help take the lead this week. And John Shear, how are you both doing, gentlemen?
I'm doing better than the Yankees are doing.
You know what? We'll save the hate comments for later. We have a special guest with us, Marcus Ogden. How are you doing, man?
How you doing, Jay? How's everything going, man?
It's great. You know what? You'll be nice to me at least. John's coming out the gate firing. He wants to be.
Man, I'm enjoying your
You know what, John?
Julius Caesar downfall.
John, we will talk about that stuff later. I'm fine with that. But right now we got a guest and we got to talk to our guest. We can't just we'll go back and forth and get after each other in a little bit.
Sure.
But, I'll start with this because I was thinking about this before. And Marcus, I need you to tell me if this is true. Everybody says, Bills fans are John, I'm sorry. I know you're a Dolphins fan. You don't want to hear this. You played for the Bills, so you would know, better than any of us. I've heard Bills fans are probably like the craziest football fans out there. You spent a couple years on the Bills, so you obviously had some interesting moments, I'm sure. But are they as crazy as everybody says? Are they really as insane as we are, seeing as they're advertised?
Well, I won't say they're insane. They're not like the Raiders fans, you know what I mean? Back when they were in Oakland. I can't speak for the Las Vegas side, but the Bills fans are the most loyal fans, I will say. The Bills Mafia, they do a lot. They are remember when Lamar Jackson got hurt and the Bills Mafia fans raised like $250,000 for his fund and all that, and they just love the team. Like, it's a blue-collar city. People are all about their sports teams. The Bills have a really good reputation of being a blue-collar team. I know Jim Kelly, Andre Reed, Thurman Thomas, and those guys back in the early to mid-'90s kind of set the stage for that. And, when I played there, I had J.P. Lossman, I had London Fletcher, I had Willis McGahee. I had, my D-line, we had Sam Adams, we had Aaron Schobel. We had some great guys, Chris Kelsay, Ryan Dennehy. And what we really excelled at was really spending time with the community. So the Bills fans, man, they're not like psychotic, crazy, like, again, Raiders fans or Eagles fans can be.
But they're crazy they love their team.
Exactly. They're very loyal to the team, and they love all that kind of stuff.
All right, so they're pretty accurate to how they're advertised, because I feel like the way they're portrayed in media is they can't get enough of their team like the rest of us, but they are just they love it.
They do. They love. Because again, like I say, you got to think, like, they've got the Buffalo Sabres, but there's no basketball team. It's really cold in Buffalo. It could be really depressing at times, in the snow, stuff like that. So they need something to rally around, and the Bills give them that to rally around.
Sure. So before you played for the Bills, funny enough, you actually played for the Ravens. If anybody that knows you knows that, but they also know you have a brother, Jonathan, and anybody that also knows anything about you and or him knows that he also played for the Ravens. Can you just talk about what that was like, not only growing up together, I know you guys were a couple years apart, but still growing up together playing football, but then also being on the same team together for a season? What was that like?
Oh, it was great, man. Like, learning the game from the best of the best is absolutely a privilege, because a lot of things I had trouble with or issues with, he was able to help me with technique and understanding the game, leverage, knee bend to angles, to how to block better, how to keep your body aligned better, how to keep a good balance, all these different things you need to be a great lineman. I was able to learn from him and be able to put that into action during practice and games, helped me out tremendously. And that's why I had almost a 6-year career in the NFL, because of my brother and what I learned from him and how to be versatile and how to, get along with your teammates. And, everywhere I went, I had great relationships with guys. I mean, like Jaguars, who drafted me, then Ravens, and I had a great relationship with the guys on the Bills, to the Titans. So, I talked to a lot of my teammates still to this day. I have my own podcast. I've had on Bo Scape on my show with my old teammate from the Titans. I'm talking right now with Fred Taylor, getting him on my show. He was my teammate with Jacksonville. I've had on my old teammate, who's actually the assistant head coach for the Baltimore Ravens, Anthony Weaver, was on my podcast. He was phenomenal, sensational. So those relationships that I built during my career, they are still very close to me to this day.
Oh, that's awesome. So I'll turn to the guys. I'm sure they got some questions. Eric or John, either one of you.
Yeah. So who was your favorite who was your favorite player that you played with? Like, do you
Besides,
have
it's got to be besides your brother, though. Hold on.
besides your
No,
brother? I mean,
we
that's a
can't give him that
given, of
option. That's too
course, like,
easy.
well, I mean, I thought that was kind of like a given.
Hey,
Yeah.
That seems like the easy answer.
No, it's not. The answer is Ray Lewis. So playing with Ray Lewis, it's a whole new level of elevation. It's a whole new level of preparation, practice, performance, getting out there, doing what you need to do in order to be great. It's kind of like imagine, I can't imagine this because I was never that talented at the sport, basketball, right? Playing with Michael Jordan, right? What was that like? Had to be phenomenal, sensational, had to just be next level greatness. Well, that's what it was like playing with Ray Lewis because he was next level greatness at the position. I mean, when you think about great middle linebackers in the National Football League history, you think of Ray Lewis, Dick Butkus, Ray Nitschke. I mean, yes, those are the names you think about, right? I mean, great
Small
middle
list,
linebackers.
Great, yeah.
I mean, the greats. I mean, like you're talking about like the
Right.
greats of the game. So to play with one of the greats, one of the legends of the game, it elevated you to the next level. Because if you weren't going to bring your A game, he was going to make you pay for it, just like anybody on the football field. But when you have legends like that, if you don't bring the best of the best, it's going to be a long day. So without a doubt, playing with Ray Lewis, and the Ravens was absolutely my favorite person to play with.
That's awesome. He seems like a good dude. So I got to ask you, was he as intense as he's advertised? It's similar to the Bills, but he seemed like a dude that was, no matter what he was doing, and I mean this, was he in the locker room the same way? Was he always just that intense of a guy?
All day, every day. All
Wow.
day, every day. And that's what made him great because, people say, talk about Butkus, like anytime he stepped on the football field, he was going to hit you, right? That's just the way it was. And that's just what he did. Ray Nitschke, we interviewed on our podcast, my old coach, NFL quarterback grade Ken Anderson, talking about how when he played for the Bengals, he played against Ray Nitschke his rookie year, and how Ray was like, trying to put fear into him and trying to, get him out of his game. And, he was going to hit you. If you were anywhere around Ray Nitschke, he was going to hit you. That's the way it is. And so that's exactly what Ray Lewis brought, that just every second of the day intensity is what made him so great.
Wow. So Ray Lewis, and just to keep talking about it, because you say you clearly rave about him, so I want to know how he affected you in some ways. He could read a defense. It looked like nobody else. Is there anything he ever gave to you as an offensive player? Like, hey, I noticed when this, when a center does this, I know whatever, right? Did he ever give you any of those little tips that he notices from his side of the ball to help you avoid making, I don't want to say a mistake, but doing something that would give something away to the defense or help the defense in any way?
Yeah, because you can give away tendencies if you don't keep a balanced stance, you don't keep everything in motion, and all these different types of things. And that's exactly what great teammates should do. Is they should educate you on what you're doing incorrectly or giving away, so that in a game you can fix that, you can tighten it up.
Right.
And that's all it was in that regard. So I mean, there were a lot of guys like that. Ray Lewis was great at that. Another great guy that was great at that was London Fletcher with Buffalo. I played with him, middle linebacker, great guy. London was not the biggest, the fastest, the strongest, but he always was in the right position. He knew the game, and because of that preparation, it made him another great player that I played with. Another great one I played with was Laurie Malloy. Laurie Malloy is another great guy. The strong safety that always knew what was happening. He could read offenses. He could read coverages. He could read, alignments and where guys were going to go. So you're talking about being around some of the best in their profession. It just makes you understand how much work goes into being a great player in the National Football League.
Oh, that's awesome, man. It's crazy to think you played with some of the greatest players of all time, man. I mean,
oh yeah, I played with Ray Lewis. I played with Ed Reed. I played with Terrell Suggs. I played with London Fletcher. I played with my brother. I played with Fred Taylor. I played with another guy. He was another great one. He was really, really great back in the early '90s. Hugh Douglas. Near the end of his career, I played with Hugh Douglas in Jacksonville. I played with the big boys in the middle, John Henderson and Marcus Stroud. I played with Albert Hainsworth. I played with, a young, but he became a really good player, Michael Griffin. Just some greats, man. I mean, really and truly, just, I played with, Eric Moles, who's a great receiver with the Buffalo. So, I mean, just being around some phenomenal guys, man. And I played with Jason Peters, who's actually just signed with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And Jason,
Eric, that's gotta hurt, huh?
I had a locker right beside him. You know what I mean? And so I'm very, I don't say I'm surprised they signed him. I know, for Jason, he's a phenomenal player. So, I just don't know if Jason is going, what's going to be the role? Is he going to start at tackle? They have a rookie day. I don't know what round that rookie was they drafted or they've got right now. And
well, I think he's in to replace Tyron Smith, who
that's
probably going to miss the season.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Tyron Smith, man, like if I'm him, I think it's time to shut it down, man. Like, I mean, that poor guy, dude.
He's going to the Hall of Fame. Like, yeah.
I just shut it down, man. Like, he's had so many injuries, man. Back to neck to now hamstring. Like, I mean, it's just gotta be. I mean, he hasn't had a full year in a couple years. So they have some kid at rookie left tackle right now. I don't know if he was drafted, whatever. They're going to start him this week against the Bucks, which is going to be a great test. But Jason is going to be a good player for them. I just don't know what role they're looking at and then how durable he's going to be at 40. But hey, man, I wish him all the luck in the world, man, because if somebody wants to sign you and continue to play, you can pick up a paycheck, man, you go and do it. You go and do it.
So
Marcus, that brings up a great question because, you talk about, players sometimes playing past that point, but we've seen it happen for so long. As an athlete, you feel you're invincible until you get that one true hit. But then mentally, you're still like, no, I can still go because you watch the game, and understand the game. So it's like I can still produce at a high level. And, for the Tyron Smiths of the world, and even I'll go so far as to say Jason Peters, which, listen, Jake, real talk. When you leave Philadelphia and go somewhere else, guess what? I thank you for your service, but let's move on. If you want to go to the hated enemy, hey, that's your choice. You get the paycheck. I understand that. But, Marcus, my question to you is, for you as an NFL player, when did you have your epiphany, your aha moment of, okay, you know what? It's time for me to truly transition to the next chapter of my life?
That's a great question, man. So I remember I was out, I retired, I was 28, and then I got into business. And then I remember I was 32. I just moved to Raleigh. I was broke, lost everything, tried to get my life back together. I called my old director of pro personnel, John Guy, when I was in Buffalo, gave him a call, went down to Florida, did a workout, all this stuff, put some stuff together for some NFL teams. Like I hadn't played in like 4 or 5 years and shot some stuff out and got a couple of little interesting bites, but nothing ever stuck. And then I remember I played some indoor football here in Raleigh. And I remember I ended up going, somebody from the CFL called me, from Saskatchewan called me.
Is that Russ Landy? I'm just asking.
The Rough Riders, yeah. So like, okay. So I was like, okay. So the Saskatchewan Rough Riders, and I'm like, all right. Gave me a call. They brought me down to camp in Dodgertown, wanted me to come play tackle for them, all this other type of stuff. And after camp was over, man, I was like, no, I took probably, damn near 250 to 500, one-on-one pass rush reps the entire 2 days. Like it was just one-on-one pass rush reps. No team drills. It was crazy. And then finished, and I was actually, at the time, I was 36, and I was the oldest guy out there, and, I was doing really well against the guys. But then I said, man, where am I going with this? Like, okay, I'll go to CFL, play for like what? 40 grand, 50 grand Canadian, and did tax there, get tax here. Like, I'm not going to go to the NFL again. I'm 36 years old. I've been out for too long. What am I going to do with this? And so I ended up not going to Saskatchewan. I was like, man, like, this is not going anywhere. Like, I need to move on with my life. I need to pay attention to and at the time, my speaking business, I got my first paid job about the year before, like 2016. So it's like right at that time, 16, 17, I went to Saskatchewan's camp. So I just got my first paid speaking job, had a little bit of success, and I was like, what am I going to do? But it wasn't anything like I'm doing today. And I say, you know what? I can't do this. I can't go back and forth. Like I can't drop speaking and try to go play football and go. And where am I going to go? And so the NFL's out. This is not going to work. So at that time, that's when I said, okay, I was 36 years old. I just turned down Saskatchewan after camp in Dodgertown, Florida. I said, yep, it's go ahead. It's time for me to move on. And so that's what I did. But again, everybody's got to have that epiphany, because if you try to do the game too long, and that's the only thing I worry about with Jason, right? I mean, he's 40. I don't know what kind of shape he's in. I don't know how his body's going to hang, going out there and doing it. But, we'll just have to see how it goes. But I just don't want him to go out there and get hurt or not play to a high level like he did for his entire career. And then they say, oh, you should have walked away. You should have been, you know what I'm saying? Because like people always say, you should have done that. Like, it doesn't matter. But still, I don't want someone's legacy to be left at that. Like, you should have walked away. You should have not come back. You know what I'm saying? Because no player wants to hear that. Like, oh, why'd you come back? When you're older, like, damn, man. When you're like in your 60s, like, why did I go back at 40? Like, that didn't make any sense. So I just hope that he stays healthy, because that's the only thing I worry about him at that age. But he was definitely one of the more elite tackles when he played at his prime. So hopefully he can hold up for a year and again, go to the Cowboys and at least help them out in some regard.
Yeah. So I want to transition really quick. Can you talk to me about the success cycle? Because that is your book, and I'm really curious. You talk about achieving your goals both on the business and personal side. So again, where did this come from? And more importantly, what drew you to create such a, bestseller? And, you're an international speaker. By the way, shout out to Howard University. I always want to promote the HBCUs, when we're talking to people. But when did all of that begin to really come together for you?
It started in 2013 when I wanted to speak. Then I wrote my first book. It was published in 2015. Then the success cycle came about in 2018. I started thinking about what got me to the point of success. It was ambition, drive, and hard work, repeat. And then we wrote the success cycle, and that helped us out tremendously. I had a really great talk actually today with a Major League Professional Baseball team, prominent, one of the more prominent teams in the Major League Baseball, about speaking for them and maybe even possibly doing some consulting as a diversity and inclusion consultant for them, which would be huge for our career and our brand. And they were talking about the success cycle. They were going to order the book. She's the director of HR, and their president of operations were going to read the book. And then I'm going to talk to them on my birthday about consulting for them next year with their minor league players and their 40-man roster and their leadership team and all that. And it really stemmed from, the book and all I was talking about with ambition, drive, hard work. And then I got into some different things I speak on, like leadership, diversity, equity, inclusion, sales and marketing, so on and so forth. And she really loved it. So I'm very optimistic that. And it's interesting, this team is from what she told me, a very racially divided town. So having someone that's an HBCU grad, you mentioned I'm a Howard grad, I actually get inducted to Howard's Athletic Hall of Fame this month, September 30th. I'm in their Hall of Fame, which is amazing because I go from thinking my career's over after high school, one scholarship offer to college to go to Howard, become a 4-year starter, their first and only O-lineman ever drafted in the NFL, still to this day. And without Howard, I'm not where I am today. So I'm so excited for that to come up here in September 30th. But the point I'm making is that, everything stems from, I'm the kind of guy that's a real but HBCU guy. I'm from the hood of DC. I got out. I went to college. I got in the NFL. I built a business, lost a business, came back, all these things. And so they feel that could be a real good staple piece to kind of really connect with people, African Americans in that community, because they're trying to get more African Americans to support this organization.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. So, John or Eric, any other questions before we let Marcus go?
No. Anything else that you would like to promote? Any social media sites that you have?
Yeah. Where can the people find you?
Where can they find you?
Yeah. They can go to our website, www.marcus, You can also put me on Instagram at Marcus Ogden, TikTok at Marcus Ogden 71, LinkedIn Marcus Ogden, Facebook Marcus Ogden. But we also have a podcast. It's called Get Authentic with Marcus Ogden, We launched June 22nd of this year. 6 weeks after launch, we were in the top 2% worldwide most listened to podcasts in the industry. We've had on athletes, current athletes, retired athletes, basketball, baseball, football, entrepreneurs. We had on a guy today, one of the most world-renowned, famous photographers and artists, David Drebin out of New York, who came on. And David's got artwork and photography all across the world in different galleries and art museums. And he's just a phenomenal guy. He's on our show. Like, it's so diverse. It's kind of like the Joe Rogan show. You never know who's coming on, but everybody has an authentic story. And because of that, we've been able to grow to that regard as one of the most successful podcasts in the industry that's only basically about 2.5 months old. So we're excited for the future. And they can go on Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeart, Stitcher, YouTube. Again, Get Authentic with Marcus Ogden is the name of our show.
Oh, that's awesome. Marcus, I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much.
It was great talking to you.
Have a great day, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Marcus, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. John, there was something you wanted to talk about. I don't know. I'll let you
first you go on with what you want to say, and then I will transition into what I want to say.
No, that's fine. So for the viewers at home, John, myself, JB, who's not here, and a couple other people that we all know are in a fantasy football league. And one of the people who is on this network, Jacob Christner, is a very smart guy when it comes to sports and talking about them. He's a great guy. So I preface all of this by saying Jacob is a great guy. You should check out the Pundit's Pundit. He is a very smart person. There is no questioning whether or not he's smart. With all of that said, I may have seen
so let's not go too crazy.
I may have seen the most silly and useless set of moves in fantasy football today. And I had to bring it up. And I bring it up because I'm so dumbfounded. I want everybody to hear what happened. It just doesn't make sense to me. So it's a 2-quarterback league. So I have
and I want to jump in, Jake. And if anybody has any stories they want to share of their fantasy, crazy trades, like make sure you check out our Twitter. Go to Sideline Sport 1.
Leave a comment.
Matt's always posting about fantasy football in there. So make sure you drop some comments on there. Share that. Matt is always, and JT are behind the scenes guy. They are big on the fantasy, so they will definitely reply to you, and they reply very quick. Anyway, go on, Jake.
So draft happened the other day, and I'll be honest. So it's a 2-quarterback league. My team looked fantastic, minus my secondary quarterback. I had Matt Stafford. Was very happy. I was cool with that. But Daniel Jones was my second quarterback. So, admittedly, I was very upset because Daniel Jones stinks.
Why did you pick him up?
I had no choice, Eric. Literally,
you always have a choice, Jake.
No,
you always have a choice.
Eric, I had the options of him, Marcus Mariota, Mitch Trubisky, Zach Wilson. I had nobody.
Mitch Trubisky is starting, so at least you would get something with Mitch Trubisky.
I didn't know that yet.
And Eric, I have Josh Allen and Justin Herbert. So, I mean, I had a choice in getting those two.
Admittedly, I was going to get Matt Ryan, and I was perfectly happy with Matt Ryan. However, he was taking the pick before mine when it happened. But besides the point. So, I traded Kareem Hunt and Chris Godwin in exchange for another quarterback as well as a wide receiver, Jameis Winston and Robert Woods. It's not my favorite trade, but I have a deep receiving core.
Jake, I'm sorry. I hate to cut you off. You traded away Kareem Hunt.
Correct. This is going to get so much worse, Eric.
And who?
And Chris Godwin. My number one and two receiver are Tyreek Hill.
So you traded them away for Jameis Winston.
Correct.
And Robert Woods.
Correct. Hey, when you have Tyreek Hill and Deebo Samuel as receivers 1 and 2, I don't think you need Chris Godwin.
I never thought I would do this. I really never thought I would do this.
Hey.
The market dictated Jake needing his desperation.
John,
I had no options.
You're going to appreciate me more than you ever have in about 3 seconds. Ready? Jake Malik.
Eric,
are out of
you wait. You wait to hear the rest of the story, though, because it gets worse somehow. So, look, I made it.
What is this? Hold my beer? What are we doing?
This admittedly was
I wish JB was
partially out of desperation. I'll admit it. I needed a quarterback. I didn't have a choice. But That's not the worst part. So Jacob, who receives this trade, then says to John, after John this morning picked up Darrell Henderson, who is really the 1B running back in the Rams offense. Sean McVay has come out and said that Jacob has Cam Akers. So John says, let's trade Kareem Hunt for Darrell Henderson. Jacob gets the handcuff. I understand the trade. It makes sense. It's fine. Jacob has an extra bench spot.
Because I have Nick Chubb, so I needed insurance.
So it makes sense. Their trade, fine. So Jacob picks up A.J. Green to fill his last bench spot. Why he chooses to do that, I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. It's a personal choice. Whatever. He already has 2 tight ends. I'd like you to know this. He has Pat Freiermuth and Mike Gesicki.
This is Gesicki's the backup, by the way.
And it doesn't really matter who's who. But hold on. You ready for this one, Eric?
Jacob decides, I'm all ears
Jacob
on this.
decides, I'm going to take Darrell Henderson, who I just traded for, and drop him so I can pick up Robert Tonyan, my 3rd tight end on my team. Why did he trade Kareem Hunt away for Darrell Henderson in order to literally
cut that same guy?
Look, my trade may not have been the best trade. It was out of desperation. I can explain my choices. I can't understand why one person needs 3 tight ends and trades away a running back for another running back to just drop him. I can't fathom what the point of that move was.
See, Eric, have you ever watched a movie, like a medieval days movie where, the king or whatever is just watching the peasants squabble amongst each other and beat each other up?
All right, John.
I'm the king. They're the peasants just beating each other up down there, and I'm just enjoying this from my perch.
John,
just hanging out.
I'm not involved in this squabble stuff.
I'm
just enjoying watching Jacob implode.
Let me say this, and I will defend the pundit's pundit on your 3 tight ends here. In a league that we know to be pass happy, I think if we look at red zone efficiency, I think primarily you could say that the tight end is going to be the individual who is going to get you the points with regard to red zone efficiency. Now, that may not always be the case, but I feel there are those who are going to, if it's 3rd and 4 and you know that your wide receiver 1 and 2 are pretty much going to get locked down, you've got your slot, you've got your tight end. So your tight end's a little bigger than maybe some of these, linebackers or corners or safeties. So you might be able to pound your way in if you need him to go a couple of yards. So I can understand it. I don't agree with it, but I can at least understand it. But yes, why he would take a running back to then trade for another running back only to drop said running back, that to me, I think we need to ask the pundit's pundit this coming Thursday, what was your mindset when you made this decision?
So he explained to me that he doesn't believe in Jacoby Brissett, and he thinks that there will be no offense in Cleveland, which John, means I guess Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb won't be very good this year.
And Eric, I just want to say this to you because I was part of this conversation. I heard it. If that's how he feels, which while I disagree,
why trade for that?
He's entitled to his opinion. Why did he trade for Kareem Hunt in my original trade? What was the point of doing that?
Trade bait.
I fail to understand.
Can we bring JT on because he seems to be a fantasy guy? Let's ask him a little bit of. Is JT around? Is he available back there? Because he's a fantasy guy. He wanted to talk a little fantasy. Yeah. So JT, you've heard all this. What are your thoughts on this madness?
Well, I gotta say,
my peasants squabbling.
So the original pickup of Kareem Hunt, I'm here for. I gotta say, I originally had him in as one of my keep away picks for the year, but it's Kareem Hunt. He's a productive running back. He obviously has what he needs in the tank, especially if he's just going to be, a reserve guy. He's going to ride the bench for your fantasy time. There's no reason to make a trade like that, especially this early, to then just dump him off. It seems kind of ludicrous to me, but I was thinking when you were first explaining it, I was thinking kind of what Eric said. Maybe it was just like a bait type move or something. Like he has absolutely no value, so he doesn't want anybody to have him. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll just be honest. I'm gonna pick Henderson back up, and he's going to go right back.
You're not going to get him, John. You have no.
Like,
my waiver pick is before yours, and I already put a claim.
Like,
of course,
if I get the opportunity, I'm going to do the same thing I just did.
John, who wouldn't take Darrell Henderson? What's the worst that happens? There's no losing and picking him up. No. Why Jacob would get rid of him is like I can't understand.
I mean, once I heard that this guy cut the guy that I traded him, I was like, well, why don't I just go pick the same guy back up and then, try and trade him again for more value?
Yeah.
No, I mean, listen, I completely agree. Like I said, I think we need to ask the pundit this Thursday. Please explain your mindset to us so that we have some understanding. Like, change our minds, because in all of our minds, we're thinking to ourselves, that didn't make sense. There has to be a method to your madness. What is it?
Eric, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Last year, he was one of the worst teams in our fantasy league. I was last place, and I'll tell you why I was last place. Because if John remembers,
because you picked Daniel Jones. I mean,
no. There were consolation bracket playoff games that I didn't know I was even involved in. So I ended up losing like 3 games in a row because I had no idea that those were supposed to happen because I had already lost my playoff matchup. So I thought I was out. So I ended up losing 3 straight games, not knowing I had to play them. So, of course, I end up in last place.
Can somebody change his name to Fernando Tatis?
All right, hold on. Like, I'm about to admit, that's my fault. That's fine. But Jacob was just the worst team. Like, he never made the playoffs to begin with. He just stunk from the beginning and only avoided last place.
He did score the least amount of points in the
Exactly.
league.
Like he avoided last place because I made stupid mistakes. And I'll admit, I made a stupid mistake. But
it was also a free league, so like
whatever.
You might not pay attention as much.
He stinks. I'm going to say it. He stinks.
And I'm happy to take advantage.
All right, well, fellas, before I hop back off, thanks very much for having me on real quick. I got to say this is technically my first podcast appearance ever, so hopefully first of many. But
it is the first of many. You will definitely be involved in a lot more than just tonight.
All right, Today's the first step. But I'll leave you with this analogy. It sounds like that trade that we were talking about, Darrell Henderson, Kareem Hunt to then drop for Robert Tonyan, is kind of like Jake's quarterback Daniel Jones' big play last year where he had the 80-yard break.
I'm just going to remove JT because I don't want to hear it. I am not here for slander, sir.
Yeah, goodbye.
You come on my show and you watch yourself, John.
That's Sir JT. Yeah, you're done. You're out of order. Goodbye.
That's not how we do it. I respect.
Hey, he's first out of order. I'm proud of him.
I respect his ballsiness to come say that, but absolutely not. I am not here for the slander. Now, John, you were telling us before the show there was a topic you wanted to talk about.
Okay, so we're talking Kareem Hunt and these wacky trades and whatnot. All right. So I thought of a trade scenario today because part of the reason why I'm happy to get Kareem Hunt is not just the insurance policy on Nick Chubb, but I think that this guy is going to end up getting traded. Like, he once traded.
Possible. Yeah.
Cleveland needs to get some value. They need to get draft picks. They trade away a lot to get Watson.
Yeah. John, I'll be honest with you. I have Kareem Hunt in multiple leagues. I'm all on the hype with him. I agree.
Right.
So I'm with you. You're right.
Here's a scenario because this guy's already on his way out the door. He's already barely keeping his job at running back. And this offense is super dynamic, at least on paper, because we haven't really seen it with their new addition
with
at
Deshaun Watson. They can be dynamic. You're right.
No, but he's Kareem Hunt's backing up Nick Chubb.
That's
like
fine.
He's never going to get the full-time job.
But I'm saying the Cleveland offense can be dynamic.
Right.
With Deshaun
Watson.
But
on this guy's new team, in my scenario, if you get rid of the guy that's already on his way out the door, if you get rid of Josh Jacobs and you go and get Kareem Hunt and you put him on the Raiders with Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, Aaron Waller. Oh my goodness, they are the best team possibly in that division.
John, I will tell you there's an even better option. Now, this is contingent on a rookie running back that I have not yet to see play. So if this running back turns out to be great, I wouldn't make this trade. But if I'm the Buffalo Bills and James Cook is not as good as we hope, there is no doubt you should add Kareem Hunt. There is zero reason you could possibly tell me that they shouldn't. They're already a Super Bowl contender. And to add a guy like Kareem Hunt, they'd finally have the running back they've been looking for. They'd have everything they need, even if they keep James Cook to be a goal line guy.
I'd rather have Kareem Hunt.
Cook is a big physical guy. So if they want him to be the goal line guy, fine. But Kareem Hunt can run the ball. He is fast. He's got great hands and maneuverability. I'm telling you, the Buffalo Bills should be going after him. And they really don't have to give up that much, I don't think. I think they can get away with a pretty, realistically, a low trade for a high-value player. I like the idea of trading. I like that idea. I agree. I think the Buffalo Bills, for me, make by far the most sense. It would just, John, what's the one thing that, of course, JB's not here. What is the one thing we've said about the Buffalo Bills constantly? They need a running back. If you add,
so you have no faith in Devin Singletary, is what you're basically telling me.
Not at all.
None. No. You have no faith in him.
As the starting back, no. If it's backed by committee, sure.
But like, could you imagine? Like, I've thought about this a lot. I don't understand why teams aren't inquiring about Kareem Hunt.
I can answer that. I think I can answer
one of
that
the fastest running backs
instead
in football.
Instead of keeping stuff in house, instead of going to upper management and his agent and saying to them, "Listen, we have a situation here, and I would like to find a way to no longer be a part of the situation."
Right.
He broadcasted it, and the minute you broadcast your dirty laundry, teams out there are like, "We don't need, nor do we want that headache. We don't care how good you are." There is a certain format that
really,
people need
because
to
Deshaun
follow.
Watson went to the Browns in that same scenario, right?
The Browns are an exception to.
I'm not disagreeing with you, John, but we both know the quarterback position is held in higher regard than the running back position. Running backs are basically, you are good for about 3-4 years.
I was going to say 3 to 5 year rentals. That's what they are.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
that's what you are.
Unless you are.
And my question is, if Kareem Hunt is so good, why is he not winning the starting job against Nick Chubb?
Well, Nick Chubb is fantastic in his own right. Like, they're both,
but that's not answering my question.
Back.
Okay,
but
why is Nick Chubb still getting the nod? If they're supposed to be both these great running backs, which I feel they both are, why is Nick Chubb still getting the nod? Riddle me that one, Batman.
I mean, they both get touches. They both are efficient.
But Nick Chubb is still your RB1.
But, like, this is the same thing I didn't understand. When Cleveland obtained Kareem Hunt, I said the same thing I'm saying now. Like, why aren't teams inquiring about getting Kareem Hunt? Like, I understand the off-the-field things. I understand all that. But this is a National Football League. Like, let's be honest. Nobody cares about any of the off-the-field stuff. They say they do because of they save face and because of PR. But none of these, all they care about is winning and money. That's it.
John.
Like, none of these teams really care about any of this actually.
So if that's the case,
I'm just being honest.
If that's the case, and that's the argument that you want to stand on tonight here on Sideline Sports, then my question to you is, why did he go to Cleveland? You're talking about why didn't these other teams inquire about him? And JT, I'll get to you in a moment. But John, you still haven't answered my question.
I think he went to
Hunt
Cleveland.
and Nick Chubb are
no, I know why
he
he went to Cleveland.
Are on the same, if we keep them equally, for on-the-field production, why is Nick Chubb still getting the RB1? Why is he getting that title, John?
It's his job. I mean, they're both. I mean, Kareem Hunt still gets touches, but he doesn't
get.
But
if Kareem Hunt is supposed to be as good, if not albeit better in some cases, should he not be the RB1?
They're both extremely dynamic.
Right. Let me help John real quick. Nick Chubb is a better pure runner. Nick Chubb is very physical. So when you need, a straight run up the middle, you're not going to Kareem Hunt. You're going to Nick Chubb. When you're in passing downs, which is where Kareem Hunt gets put in more, where you would like to pass the football as a check down even, that is where Kareem Hunt has been implemented. That's why I said what I said, about the Bills was James Cook would be your guy even if he's half as good as I expect. You can use Singletary. It doesn't matter. They're both more physical, I believe, than Kareem Hunt. Make them your physical back. Have Kareem Hunt be your 2 to 3 down back where you can use him in the passing game. John is missing that point of saying that Kareem Hunt is not a great physical back as compared to Nick Chubb, who is extremely physical but doesn't catch the ball. That's why he doesn't have a starting job.
And Eric, you asked about why he went to Cleveland. It's because you gotta rebuild your image. So he went there, much like when a quarterback like Jameis, he went to the Saints to kind of rebuild his image. Different circumstance, but he went there to rebuild his image as a quarterback, try and build up a little bit of credibility, try and learn things like that. Players do that. So Kareem Hunt, I believe, ultimately went there to do that. I believe it happened, but now he's stuck there.
I don't think he's stuck there.
No, I mean he's stuck there as like the 1B to the 1A of Nick Chubb. Right. But now he wants out because he's like, okay, it's time. Like, I want a job. I don't understand, like, once you rebuilt your image, why you didn't just ask out immediately, why teams aren't calling about this guy. Because
John, I
he's
just
a
told
headache.
you why. Because he's the guy
if
making it public instead of going through it the
he's-
private
But if you're
way.
the Buffalo Bills, Eric, are you calling about this guy and saying
They
if
might
we
be,
get
John. We
Kareem
don't know
Hunt-
if they are.
No, I'm just saying.
Maybe I don't want that headache, John. Maybe I don't want that. Maybe I don't want
Jake,
that headache. As an
if
owner,
teams were calling, we would have heard about it, right?
Not
Okay.
necessarily.
With all the news
All
that
right.
comes out, with all the reporting,
I don't know,
out there,
John.
disagreeing with you.
social media.
You want me to
we
call?
would have
Listen,
heard.
John. You want me to call Mookie real quick and ask him?
Yes.
I'll call Mookie. All right,
I
I'll call
just don't-
Mookie. Y'all keep going.
I don't want the Bills to
I'll
get
call
Hunt,
Mookie. No,
But if
JT,
the Bills
what
get
did you
Kareem
say?
Hunt,
What did you had the audacity to come at me before. So watch your step. What did you have to say?
So I just kind of, as a Cleveland guy born and raised, I'm out in Pennsylvania now, but Cleveland's my team. So I feel like if you just kind of take a step back from each of those players' individual, stats, their off the field stuff, anything that comes with either of them, when you take the role that each of them has, I think they brought in Kareem Hunt to basically make it a dynamic running back tandem when they made that one of the best in the league. And I think that over the course of the last 2-3 years, however long it's been that we've had both of them, that they established that Nick Chubb is going to be, in the running for top 5, top 10 running back every year, and Kareem Hunt's going to be the kind of more versatile guy who can pop out and catch routes and stuff like that, and excel in pass catching in ways Nick Chubb can't, because he's just so explosive and just a bigger body. So I think it all just depends on what you're looking at as the Cleveland ownership point of view, and you just want guys in both ways. And yeah, honestly, I heard all of your guys' arguments. I was just trying to analyze it all. I hear good things from all three of you guys. Eric saying that there is the off-the-field issues. He's trying to, him making it public is kind of, it's a no-no. Like I said, I had him on my preseason, stay away from list as far as fantasy is concerned. But he's a great player, and I think if you just keep him in the Browns, scheme, that it's going to just continue to excel as it has the last couple of years.
Okay. Eric, what do you got?
He wasn't available. I left him a message, but I also sent him a text just asking him point blank. I said, listen, we're talking on Sideline Sports here tonight, and we're having a conversation about Kareem Hunt. I said, to your knowledge, have the Bills inquired to Cleveland for trading for Kareem Hunt? So if I get a message during the show, I'll make sure I relay it to all of us here tonight on Sideline Sports.
Okay. Well, all right. So, John, was that what you wanted to talk about with fantasy?
yes,
Was that
I just thought of that today, the scenario of the Raiders obtaining a better back than Josh Jacobs, having a guy like Kareem Hunt to go along with all the other weapons. My gosh, how would you stop that offense if they had a real running back? Because let's face it, Josh Jacobs is washed up. He's done. No more Josh Jacobs. I'm done with Josh Jacobs.
Wow.
You get a guy like Kareem Hunt, in addition to those other weapons, I don't see how you stop that. The defense isn't very good, but the offense
What makes you
dynamic.
think Josh Jacobs is washed up? I'm just curious.
Josh Jacobs is cooked. I mean, this
I'm
guy's
just
just not.
What about him
He's
makes
not
him
the
cooked?
same guy that he was a couple years. I'm done with Josh Jacobs. He's on his way out the door
old, he thinks
already.
he's washed up.
So John is already writing off a 23-year-old.
I'm
Okay.
writing him
John,
off.
John,
I'm with you,
do you know how
Josh
many
Jacobs.
seasons? Do you know how many seasons he's played in the NFL?
He's cooked.
He's played 3. Do you know how many
Yeah.
seasons he's had over 1,000 yards from scrimmage, meaning passing yards that he's caught or rushing yards?
3.
3 seasons, baby. That's it. Last year he didn't rush for as many yards. He rushed for about a little over 850. While the 2 previous seasons he rushed for over 1,000. But last year he also had his highest receiving season with almost 350 yards compared to 238 in 2020 and 166 in 2019. John,
Look,
I don't really see how a guy that's averaging
There's
over 1,000 yards
reports
per scrimmage is
already-
cooked.
There's reports already that you might lose your job, and you're as
I
good as
don't-
you say you are.
What
Who's he losing his job to, John?
Kenyon Drake?
Already reports that
From what?
that he's
Find them. Stop
on the
talking and
verge
go
of
find them.
losing his job.
Stop
To
talking
who?
and go find them.
Whoever they
Because-
got behind him, apparently.
Nobody. There's no chance.
John, who are they losing? Zamir White, Brandon Bolden, Amir Abdullah?
It seems that Josh Jacobs could be on his way out of
John,
Vegas.
John, can you find these
They could be as
articles?
fed
or
up
you
as
just-
I am with them.
John, do me a favor. Find these articles that you're discussing instead of
got
pulling
you.
out of your
Better
butt.
Call
that's what
Phil
you're doing.
Jones and ask Phil. Phil will tell you. Call Phil.
Because there's no chance.
Call the unfiltered truth and find out from him what's going on with Josh Jacobs. Since you want to be I'm so pro Raiders right now. I thought your team was Miami.
Really?
I'm a football fan, and I pay attention to all things football.
No, you don't. You pay attention to the Dolphins.
I'm a football lifer, a Dolphins lifer. I love it all.
I've been behind the scenes for like a month and a half listening to John and Jake's and JB's takes primarily, and I've got to say, John is the first person ever to cut the rope on a guy. If he's 23 years old, 33 years old, and still mashing home runs, he's going to call it quits on a guy before anybody else thinks about it.
Yeah, before anybody does.
All right, John.
I would have survived the Titanic before any of you three. Just throwing that out there.
No, you wouldn't.
I would have jumped ship before any of you.
John, I'm not letting you. I'm not letting you on my door. Okay, you're gonna have to hold my hand and put your body in the
raft, and you can go get your own.
All right, we got about 10 minutes here, gents. I don't know how we haven't brought this up yet, but it's probably like the biggest news of the past week. It only happened, I believe, 5 days ago. Are we not going to talk about Donovan Mitchell getting traded out of Utah? I mean, Utah looks like they might be one of the smartest teams I've ever seen with the amount of picks they've accumulated from literally just two players. Between Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, they have acquired a monstrous number of picks. They have set themselves up for the future so well. I don't know how this wasn't brought up already. I mean, they are like they're killing it. I mean, I get they're losing stars, but you lose two stars and they've acquired I don't even know how many picks now. I have to find it, but here you go.
To be fair, they didn't have anything else.
That's my point. They had 3 first-round picks in Donovan Mitchell trade alone. They got 25, 27, 29. I mean, as well as getting Colin Sexton, who they've already signed to a new deal. Utah might be one of the smartest teams I've ever seen. I got to be honest. You got 2 disgruntled stars, and you turn it into Colin Sexton and a bunch of picks.
I mean, the Rudy Gobert trade was just, they fleeced them.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, they are, have you ever seen a rebuild like this? This is, unbelievable.
I've seen the
not to this level. Not to this level. I haven't seen a rebuild, to answer your question, Jake.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what they originally had, we already knew what they were. They were a adequate regular season team. They did enough to put themselves in position to make the playoffs. And then after that, it was like they just started to teeter and spiral out of control to where they basically walked themselves out of the playoffs. And so now they have this opportunity to, as you said, rebuild. Is Utah the smartest organization? I will say one of, but again, when's the last time they've been to an NBA Finals? When's the last time they've produced true superstars who, like, when they were playing, people gravitated to the television to watch? We're more focused on Ja Morant. We're more focused on, what Luka is doing. There's so much in the West that, if they were in the East, I think this would be a different conversation. But they're not.
To answer your question, Eric, probably the last time, which is sad to say, is probably when John Stockton played. That was probably the last time that era. I just went with John Stockton because he popped in my head first. But it's the same era of basketball we're talking about, those 80s, 90s. That area, if you will, that time period is approximately probably their last time being this relevant or rather relevant in general. Yeah.
They had a year.
Congratulations
in the last 5 years where they were, making runs in the playoffs. But yeah, I see exactly.
I wouldn't call it
was always a fluke.
I would call it appearances. It's not runs.
They were
in the
appearances. It was always a fluke with Utah.
Yeah.
But again, I look at this and I'm like, Cleveland. Now you have Donovan Mitchell. Now you have Kevin Love. You have Karis LeVert. So let's see how this all shakes out. But for Utah, hey, you know what? You got yourself an opportunity to go get you a core nucleus of guys who you feel can work together, be together, but you still have to get yourself to contend with the Golden States of the world, the Lakers of the world, the Clippers of the world, the Mavericks of the world, the Memphises of the world. You have those 5 teams. Oh, and I'll even throw in the San Antonio Spurs because we know what Pop is able to do.
Sure.
So it's
by the time, hold on, Eric. By the time that the Jazz are actually back in relevancy, which would be a long time, Pop will be long gone. Boom, he'll be done. Steph Curry will be out of the league. He'll be retired. Clay will be retired. Golden State won't be Golden State anymore. This is actually chess when others are playing checkers because you just waited out until Golden State and Pop and those guys are gone, and then boom, you can get
John, that's not
relevant
chess.
again.
But John Morant's going to be there for a minute, John.
LeBron James
you're
will be
still
gone.
going to have to contend with Memphis. You're going to have to contend with Luka. That's still 2 teams that you're going to have to contend with. And the way that Golden State is set up, John, they're setting themselves up for the second coming. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Golden State has Dynasty 1 right now. They're attempting to set up Dynasty number 2 already. They're saying we got these great players, but we're also preparing for the future right now.
But as I said,
I agree with what Eric said.
It'll be a couple years before there any bit of relevancy. And once Steph Curry goes, guess what? This is a completely different thing for the Golden State Warriors.
Not necessarily.
Never done this without Steph Curry, so we'll see about Dynasty 2.
I'm gonna need you to hold this clip, and for a few years, we're gonna revert back to this when Golden State doesn't miss a beat after Steph, Clay, Draymond, and everybody else are gone, and this new regime comes in and just remains pace. I need you, JT.
Not the same without Steph Curry, man.
We're not saying it's going to be the same. It's not the expectation.
Well, the same would be championships, right?
No, that's not at all what the same would be. The same would be playing the same style of basketball, scoring the way they score. I'm not saying they're going to do that, but I'm sitting here telling you, and I'm confident that they have set themselves up for success in the future where they will continually make the playoffs and be in contention for championships. Absolutely. The way they are continuing to set themselves up, Steve Kerr is not going anywhere anytime soon.
Steve Kerr still know how to coach once Steph Curry's gone.
Yes, obviously.
I believe so.
I don't see why he wouldn't be able to.
Oh, because Steph Curry's not there.
So, what does that do?
Hot take.
I understand.
It's like Urban Meyer without Tim Tebow.
Urban Meyer
I gotta
run. John, Urban Meyer couldn't coach. That's just stupid.
He did at
John, you know what?
John,
I'm going to put this. John,
State.
You know what I'm going to do? John, I'm going to put this in a language you speak, and I am going to say the nicest thing I will ever say. So hold on to this clip, please. This is the nicest thing I will probably ever say to you, John.
Thank you.
I may not like the Heat, and I may not like hearing you talk about them, but it's just like Eric Spoelstra. Just when he lost D. Wade and LeBron and Ray Allen, he still can coach. He's still got a way to win. So it's the same thing. Good coaches, great coaches, they find a way to win no matter who's on the team. They can't win with nobody, but if you give them talented players, they will win you games. They will certainly take care of business. So for the first time, I'm saying something nice about the Heat, John, but it's a good example because he lost superstars. He lost a nucleus of superstars, right? They're no longer there. But are the Heat having a problem? Doesn't look like it. I mean, they look like they're just fine. They got new players. They got a new system. Tyler Hero is a perfect example of a guy that was just it's an organic player. Like he wasn't Jimmy Butler where he came to the team and he was already established. No, Tyler Hero, perfect example. Warriors are going to do the same thing. They're going to have their new guys be just like that, where they're just these great players that a good to great coach will take care of business all day.
I appreciate you talking about the Heat to end the show. I mean, anytime you talk about, my Miami Dolphins or Miami Heat or maybe the Orioles.
He managed to take the point. That was, I believe, a solid point to make. And it was a good comparison.
It was a
and
great
manages
take,
to turn it around
and he just killed it.
John, it was just all you had to say was, that's a good point. I like that. I agree with what you're saying. You don't have to talk about your Heat. I don't want to hear it. It wasn't meant to be about you.
I thought it was an open door.
No, it was just meant as a point. John, sometimes I really don't like you. I hope you know that.
Hey, you give me an inch, I take a mile. That's your fault.
You truly do. You give John a city block, he takes a whole entire borough. Listen, guys, thank you so much for having me on. You know the deal. Eric Wilson, Sports Arena, Monday and
Thursday
Wednesday night, 10 p.m.
baby.
Eastern. Again, ruining my thunder, John. Thank you so much for ruining my thunder. Okay? Just for that, I'm not saying anything till tomorrow night. You want to find out what Thursday night's all about? Check out the Sports Arena tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern, sportsarena1.com, part of the Sideline Sports Network family. Much love to you guys. I'm going to holler at you. Much love, Jake, JT, pleasure. John, I'll see you tomorrow.
Go, son.
Blabbermouth, you want to go? Make it quick.
Go ahead, JT.
Thanks for having me, guys. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, you're Blabbermouth.
Oh, yeah, I'm going this time.
Go ahead, JT.
I'm going. Pretty simple. I'm JT, Sideline Sports. Keep tuning in. Want to tune into my Twitter, Jake Taylor 123. Pretty simple, not creative at all.
All right, Blabbermouth, you got a couple seconds. Let's go.
Sideline Sports YouTube, Blue Hawks 13. Hey, I mean, Sideline Sports is the best damn network in the world. That's all I got to say.
All right, everybody, you see across the bottom of your screen. Follow us, check us out, and we'll see you next time. Everybody have a good one.